Welcome back to The Five. So let's say you had to rent a room to somebody. Would you pick the renter from a Tea Party or Occupy Wall Street? If you listen to the media, you'd go with the latter. That's because the media glosses over their grossness. That's a word. Have you seen this? Or this, more trash, actually. Or how about this protester relieving himself against a police car? I bet you haven't. This hero was snapped by British papers, not by our own. Guess our media prefers its protesters to be potty trained, and I can't blame them. Now, I've tried to curb my sarcasm against these people because stereotypes are just way too easy. But damn, they make it so damn easy because they are the stereotypes. The creepiest group, these people denying through these odd gestures a visit by Congressman John Lewis. Look at this. It's great.
How do we feel? About Congressman John Lewis addressing the Assembly?
The point of this General Assembly is to kickstart a democratic process which no singular human being is inherently more valuable than any other human being.
So basically, they said no. I can't blame them for being confused. Meanwhile, the New York Times, a corporation, endorses all of this, which is like Louis XVI endorsing the guillotine or birds endorsing wind power. But good news for the Times, the Iran military also endorses it. Yep, General Masoud Jazayeri hopes the protests topple capitalism, which illustrates what these protests really are about. Sensing weakness, the overarching theme is upheaval. Various groups emboldened to cheer the end of the greatest system known to man and replace it with what? Who cares? Let's nap. Yep. You went from the couch to the pavement. So how would you respond to this movement? Let it ride. The more we learn about the left, the better we understand its motivation, which is envy. And that's not a movement. Well, maybe it is, but not the kind they mean.
Yeah, like not one against a police car.
Yes.
So
Thank you for pointing that out, Dana. I was trying to keep it clean.
Really, that was interesting. You would bring out that one picture from a British tabloid.
no, the picture was taken at the protest, and it only ran in the British papers.
I don't trust those pictures. But believe it or not,
don't you feel bad for John Lewis, civil rights worker?
John Lewis, but let me just make a point. You no longer, as you apologists for these capitalist rip-off artists on Wall Street and millionaires and billionaires you keep supporting.
Keep going.
This protest has spread, he says 100 cities, I say 500 cities across the country. There are a lot of people out there that aren't
There are 3 people in every city, Bob.
Oh, ridiculous.
3 people in every city.
A lot more than the Tea Party people, I can tell you that.
I will put money on that.
Now, listen,
you want to make a bet?
Let's put all the money you want. You got to stop calling these people names and recognize
this is
there
from
are people
you
out
calling
there
them
that,
the tea
wait a
people.
minute. I stopped calling them names, and these people have legitimate grievances against a system that screwed them. No. And they have a right to protest, and you shouldn't be calling these people names.
When did I call them names?
What do you mean? Every monologue is a name.
How did they get screwed?
How did they get screwed?
Yeah.
The bankers ripped them off by selling them mortgages, and they bundled
those people? The people that are protesting?
A lot of people who are joining these protests around the country are people who've lost their houses because of the great capitalist system you talk about that ripped people off.
Oh my gosh, I love the helplessness and the fact that, and you don't want to talk about the fact that the #1 president to benefit the most from Wall Street contribution is Barack Obama.
Every president benefits.
No,
they buy their
way to the
winners every time.
It's not that
simple, Can I point something
Bob.
out? Bob, you're saying that this whole thing stemmed from the banks loaning the people who couldn't afford homes. So we need to point out that there was a Democratic Congress, Senate, pushing everyone to have.
I agree.
But listen,
I agree.
When these banks started to fail, when these mortgages failed, what did they do? They threw all that bad garbage into Fannie and Freddie and then bailed Fannie and Freddie. And Obama bailed out Fannie and Freddie.
And then the American taxpayers bailed them out.
$230 billion to Fannie and Freddie.
Wait a minute. The idea that we bailed out Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch is just disgraceful, disgusting, despicable, and destructive
what do you think,
of everything
let me
I
ask
believe
you something.
in.
Your president
let me ask you something. What do you think these people would be doing
No, George Bush started.
What do you think with this
and
people
who finished it?
Well,
we did, and he shouldn't have.
What do you think these people would be dealing with if there had not been a bailout that was a tough decision, but supported by both President Bush and President Obama? What do you think their lives would be like right now?
I think I think Goldman's. If the rest of these bankers had gone under, I'd let them all go under.
Okay, but what do you
Every
think
single
happens
one
to
of them.
Main Street
and then
at that
maybe we'd
point?
get some decent bankers back in America who would loan money. And I agree with you. Democratic presidents were bad with this. They pushed this thing, Bill Clinton and others. It goes back to my administration, Jimmy Carter. We never should have had this notion that everybody should own a house. But we didn't come up with the notion of bundling up all these mortgages and selling them fraudulently
But that's not what they're complaining about.
Something very important happened today. The Democratic Congressional Committee, DCCC, actually put on their website, we want to raise money so we can lock arms with the Wall Street protesters. The same protesters
in support of Venezuelan Chavez and Iran are also
that's what I mean.
Who are also locking arms.
You want me to say the Tea Party then was connected with
fact.
no fascist country supported the Tea Party.
What do you want? You want us to go back and start calling the Tea Party names? I stopped doing it. You stop calling these people communists and anarchists. They are not. They're legitimate Americans who have been screwed by a system that you guys sit around here and support, and you ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
His point was a fact that the Iranian president and the Venezuelan president have both come out in support of it. That's a fact. They did that today.
Along with the unions, along with Pelosi, and along
unions,
with the DCCC.
working people, and you want to continue to support these bums, you go ahead. They ought to be in jail instead of down there taking their sweet offices.
Some great group you got going
And
there.
the protesters need you to go down there and help them because that's not their message.
Yeah, and if you went down there, you get attacked.
I would say there's probably some people there that you're absolutely right about, but the same old suspects are there, from Code Pink to anarchists there as well.
What
they
is wrong with
poisoned it.
Code Pink?
Gosh, that's
You want to do
a whole
another
other
segment on Code Pink?
Yeah, that's
And
another
why
segment.
do you insist on defending these people?
Defending
Why
who?
do you,
Who are
these-
defending
these
who?
We're
false
defending our
bankers?
system.
Why do you defend these people?
I'm not
Defending our
defending them.
system.
I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of the media, the way they're covering the protests versus the Tea Party.
Do you believe that there's something wrong with the fact that we went through this enormous housing and banking crisis and
Yes.
not one banker went to jail?
And no one in the government
Wait,
did
no,
either.
excuse me.
And no one in the government. I got to go,
answer
Bob.
answer my question.
No, I'm answering the question.
Is one
Yes.
banker? You think it's unusual that one banker?
But why didn't any politicians go
They
to jail
should have.
either?
They should have. I agree.
So we
But-
agree on something.
Okay, we do.
Let's have
Just
lunch
stop defending
tomorrow.
these bums, will you?
I'll buy you a sandwich. All right, coming up, Bob will whine about being in the Z Block while the four of us discuss how crazy California is becoming.
Oh, boy.